All right, good evening, Fort Belvoir. Welcome to the November 5th Town Hall. So just one opening remark, and then I'm going to hand it over to Captain Judy, and then over to our special guest today, but a permanent guest, Command Sergeant Major Kleinholz. So the first opening remark is that on Monday we had General Daly visit the garrison. It's great to have, the Army Materiel Command commander visiting. He discussed housing issues with our partners and residents, and he wanted to communicate that he understands the residents' concerns. He is personally committed to progress on local housing here on Fort Belvoir and across the Army. And today's Eagle has a full article on the visit. It's on the front page. So if you haven't seen that, please take a look at it either in print or online. Captain Judy.
All right. Hey, sir. It's great to be here. I want to start off with just some November observances, right? Next week, we're going to observe Veterans Day. Our nation's veterans represent the best of America. Generation after generation, men and women have answered the call to defend our country and our freedom, facing danger and uncertainty and uncommon courage. And serving alongside our men and women in uniform are spouses, siblings, parents, and children who personify the ideals of patriotism, pride, resilience, service above self, and honor. So I just want to take a moment to thank all of the veterans and all of those families who serve alongside of them for their service to our nation. November is also Warrior Care Month, and our Warrior Care programs provide command, medical management, and non-medical assistance to wounded, ill, and injured service members navigating the recovery and rehab phases of the military medical treatment system. It can be complex and confusing at times, but it's a great infrastructure that we have here on Fort Belvoir. So caring for the wounded, ill, and injured service members who have sacrificed so much is really a top priority, not only for us here at Fort Belvoir, but for the Department of Defense. I want to roll into a couple of hot topics that I've got going on at the hospital right now.
Right.
The much anticipated flu vaccine is here, right? And so our flu vaccine clinic is at a new location this year. Thanks for helping us out with that. It's at the Fort Belvoir Community Center. And for those of you who aren't familiar with that area, it's across the traffic circle near the Pence Gate, over next to the Stay Bridge. The clinic is open at this location through November 21st. I'm not going to go through all of the hours, but basically it's Monday through Saturday that they're giving flu shots. Families with children should contact the Belvoir Hospital appointment line at 855-227-6331 to schedule one flu vaccine appointment for the entire family. We want to be sure that we have adequate resources on hand for the kiddos when they come in for that. Active duty service members, retirees, and other eligible adults can also receive their flu shot on a walk-in basis. And we currently have flu vaccine for children 6 months and older, adults, and then seniors over the age of 65. So for up-to-date information, please call our Fort Belvoir flu hotline at 571-231-7777. And rather than repeat all of that information in those numbers, I know they're going to post something on the page so that information is available.
Hey, can you just clarify one thing? So families with children should make an appointment, and they'll get one appointment to go to the pediatric clinic or wherever they go.
And they'll do the one appointment for the entire family while they're there at the same time. But that way they can make sure that they're ready for that.
Okay. Yeah.
The other thing that people have asked a lot of questions about is something called Operation Warp Speed, which is different from the flu vaccine. That's the vaccine trial. That is that whole of government approach to finding a vaccine for coronavirus. And Fort Belvoir and Walter Reed are both participating in that vaccine trial. The AstraZeneca vaccine trial was on hold in the United States since early in September, but after they did a thorough review, the FDA has authorized the restart of the phase 3 clinical trial, and that restarted on October 23rd. And we have started enrolling patients as recently, or volunteers as recently as this past Monday. And so I know there's a lot of interest in participating in the vaccine trial. There's a lot of information out there. I think they're going to post some information on the website as well for that. But if you're interested, you have to be 18 or older, and that includes active duty personnel. The number one question I'm asked about this is, are we going to make active duty personnel participate in that? And the answer to that is no, it is completely voluntary. No one will be forced to participate in any trial. The trial is taking place over behind the Warrior Pavilion. You'll see that there are 3 trailers back there. And if you're interested, the phone number is 341-5163. That's all of the updates for me for right now. We can talk more later.
And so those are vaccine trials for the coronavirus, and I think that comes in 2 doses with some follow-ups.
So there's a lot of information about
Yeah.
that. Rather than get into the details, there's about 10 visits that are associated
Oh, wow,
with it.
okay. Okay.
But when somebody volunteers for that, they're
Yeah.
going to step through the entire process.
Good.
And
Yeah.
it's very comprehensive to participate in research.
Yeah.
And so they'll get all of that information right up front, so that when it's time to do the consent, they're
Yeah.
well informed of what that process
Great.
is.
Great, nice,
Sure.
good announcement. All right, so I think next we'll go over to Sergeant Major Kleinholz and introduce him just as the official Command Sergeant Major of the garrison, and just officially welcome him to the team. He's got 2 announcements, and then we'll come back for a couple other things. Sergeant Major, over to you.
Yes, sir. And family and friends and team on Fort Belvoir, I tell you that such a warm welcome since I've been here officially since the 16th, but Colonel Seagraves put me to work earlier than that upon my arrival. I'll just let the community know that I'm committed to serving the community to get after some key issues, and Colonel Seagraves has me as the point on a couple of them. One being housing. I really look forward to working with our partners on Fort Belvoir as we handle some tough issues that we mentioned earlier with General Daly's visit, and not only just because he visited, just because we're committed to getting after taking care of the soldiers and their families so they have a safe place to live and work on Fort Belvoir. So a couple of other areas is also with finance and with the DHR on Fort Belvoir, because we have to ensure that our soldiers are properly paid. And so there are issues out there. The senior enlisted leaders are more than welcome to contact me directly, and I look forward to working with you and solving these issues, but as I've done since I've been here. And also, in reference to military IDs, we've had meetings early on since I got here that although they are extended until next year, please don't wait to schedule appointments, as appointments are available. We can get this knocked out sooner than later. And sir, just the last thing, we have 2 more barracks going under construction starting December. That's going to cause some single soldiers to be displaced, and we are signing some certificate of non-availabilities because the next 4 barracks won't come online until June or July of 2021. So again, sir, thanks for a warm welcome. I look forward to working with everyone.
Great, thanks, Sergeant Major, appreciate it. Okay, so just a couple of other announcements. The first one is we're going to record a town hall on housing, and we'll have that posted on Facebook this month. So I think we started soliciting for questions already, and we encourage you to push those questions to our PAO team so that we can prepare objective and transparent answers on those. We'll record those, and the idea is that we have a team effort just from across all of our housing team in DPW and our RCI partner on Fort Belvoir. So I think that's a good thing. I look forward to your questions, and hopefully the answers that we provide will be sufficient for you. This month is National Military Family Month, so we recognize the strength and dedication of our military families and reaffirm our commitment to those families. Stay connected on Facebook for additional information on virtual activities. This is just the family is an integral part of the Department of Defense, and just like the Chief of Staff of the Army is talking about, and the word is sort of spread across DoD, like people are our number 1 resource, and not only people are our number 1 priority, but so are their families, because none of us could do what we do without the support of our families, without a doubt. The next announcement is the National Museum of the Army. So that opens officially on Veterans Day. Tickets are available online on their website, and those are by time slot. Our public health team and emergency manager have gone through extensive measures with the museum staff and the museum director to make sure that is safe, both the opening ceremony and also the visits. So everything that they're doing is in line with all of the COVID square footage requirements, and they are keeping close track of those. So they've been a great partner in partnering with us for the pandemic. So information will be posted in the comments if you need more about the Museum of the Army. It's a fantastic space, and I encourage everybody to get out there as soon as you can, or as soon as tickets are available. I think it's filling up pretty fast already. And then finally, that ceremony for the official opening will happen on Veterans Day. So, just as we start to look towards Veterans Day next week, we ought to all just take pause and thank the men and women who have served both during war and peace and defended our country and the American way of life. We appreciate the fortitude and commitment of all of those who serve. So that's something to look forward to next week. Okay, a couple of reopening announcements. I think that everyone's tracking these, but I just wanted to make sure. So the Officers Club and the bowling alley, those are both open for grab-and-go meals. Take advantage of that when you're able to. And then the other one, pretty sure we talked about it last month, but again, this is important, especially with the weather changing and cooling off in the mornings and evenings, and with the shift to daylight savings time. The Grays Fitness Center has expanded hours that began last week, so they added another hour. The first session is from 05 to 06:30, and the last session is at 1700 until 1830. We do have some ability to expand, and we probably will do that in the coming weeks, but I don't think the demand signal, George, no, it's not there yet. Okay, so we're watching that closely and tracking the numbers so that we can increase, as the weather turns colder. The digital Garrison app. So there's a competition amongst the Garrison in terms of number of downloads for the digital Garrison app. So when you download that app, what sort of gets Fort Belvoir credit for that is when you create your account, you sign up as Fort Belvoir as my installation, and that gives us credit for another digital Garrison app download. So it really is a good app. I think the Army has done a great job on figuring out how to do this, and you can find MWR events on there, food, takeout food, special offers, coupons, and the installation directory. So in addition to the hospital app, which I also find useful, you can get the Garrison app as well. Okay, so today, as usual in our town halls, we're joined by some subject matter experts for updates. The first one is our new Fort Belvoir Police Chief, Anthony Jackson. He is here, and he's no stranger to Fort Belvoir, having served as a military policeman from 2011 to 2013. He's back, and he has a lot of great plans to help our force, our missions, and everyone who works on and visits Fort Belvoir. So, Chief Jackson, over to you for some announcements.
Okay, first of all, sir, Sergeant Major, thank you for having me. It's actually an honor to be back here on Fort Belvoir, where it all began for me. So I was here as a soldier back in the day. I'm back here now as the police chief, and I'm looking forward to making this installation even better. And I know we had a few questions in reference to some of the things that's happening here on base as far as law enforcement goes. I just want to put out that we will be actively engaging here on the installation because of we've had some concerns in reference to speeders in the housing area, sir. So we'll be actively engaged in providing that law enforcement coverage there to make sure that we're making sure our housing areas are safe. That's all I have, sir.
Oh, okay. Hey, hang on, Chief. There's one other question. They asked, will Lieber Gate be opening? It says because traffic getting on base in the morning is horrible.
Okay.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir. So according when the pandemic first started, we had to close a couple of gates because of restrictions. That was actually Lieber, Telegraph, and also J.J. Kingman. But since then, J.J. Kingman is now open now to ease some of the traffic causes up at Penn Gate and things of that nature. So if you're having a little issues going through Penn Gate, or since Lieber is not open, just take the extra time to go through J.J. Kingman. We do not have any traffic restrictions going through there right now, and it'll actually ease your time coming onto the installation.
Okay, great. Thanks,
Sir,
Chief.
sir, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank
welcome
you.
to the team. So if you didn't know what a police chief looks like, that was it. You just got a glimpse of it. I mean, Chief Jackson, he's absolutely our chief and in charge, and we're glad that he's back. Okay, so just a couple of questions here, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. George Dixon to talk about some of the questions for the town hall. The first question I'll address is, this says, how does one comment to the garrison commander about issues? Well, I get a lot of comments about issues. I know no one believes that, but I do. I am open to addressing all of your issues. I just, like to say that up front. Sergeant Major and I are committed to making this a great Army installation and, just continuing the track record that we have on Fort Belvoir. So, as you can imagine, I don't get very many positive comments, so if you want to send those, I encourage you to send the positive ones as well. But one way you can comment is via the ICE system, so interactive customer evaluation. I know, sort of what you usually hear is like no one reads those. That's not true. All the directors read them. I read them, and we're getting the Sergeant Major on sort of the distro so that we can get the ICE comments to him as well. So that allows you to submit online comment cards and rate our service providers. It could be good or not so good, or just thoughts that you have. That way, if you do that, we can improve the customer service through our managers and their services that they provide. So we have eyes on those concerns and make every effort to engage where we can. Okay, there's a dog park, next question. There's a dog park in Woodlawn Village. When will that open? So the Woodlawn Village Dog Park is receiving a fresh layer of mulch, and conveniently that'll be open tomorrow, Friday. So if you're a frequenter of the Woodlawn Village Dog Park, it's back open. You can use it starting tomorrow. All right, George, come on up, and George is going to talk about the body shop, Calamar Fitness Center, the library, and the thrift shop, I think. Maybe CDCs too, I don't know. Go ahead, George.
A little bit of
over to
everything,
you.
sir. Thank you. So the question is, what about the body shop? So we opened the body shop up in July, and it's currently open to active duty and first responders only. Grace Fitness Center is open to active duty first responders and active duty dependents. We open at 0500 for the first session, and that goes till 6:30, and then half hour for cleaning, and then the last one is at 1700 to 1830. So the body shop is open. Next question, when will the Calamar Fitness Center open? Unfortunately, it probably will not open. We are in the process of turning the building over for renovation to another organization on Fort Belvoir. However, at Graves Fitness Center, we do have a lot of the same workout equipment at Graves Fitness Center. There is a rig in one of the racquetball courts, and we brought over a bunch of kettlebells and a bunch of other stuff that can be used at Graves Fitness Center. And if we can take another racquetball court out of commission, we can even add some more equipment. Unfortunately, with the weather turning, there's nothing really we can do outside because it's getting colder out. Can we open the library? So certain conditions have to be met before we can open anything. The library would have a lot of foot traffic through it, and one of the things we're trying to do is keep the number of people out of the facility and indoors. So we do have curbside checkout. Visit us on Fort Belvoir MWR webpage. You can check out books, and we have curbside pickup, and we package it so that it's sanitized and cleaned when you get it, and then we do the same thing when it comes back in. We let it sit, clean it, ready for checkout. Next question, when will the thrift store open? The thrift store will open at HPCon Alpha. Next question, I'd love to hear about a plan for extending the gym hours. I just covered that. I'd love to hear something about CDC's opening back up past Mission Essential. What is the current capacity? How full are they? And when can Priority 1 non-Mission Essential families, but now it's with older children, also home attending virtual school? So the good news is, since September 1st, we were opening up to all the Priority 1s past Mission Essential. In fact, all the Mission Essential have been rolled up into the Priorities 1, 2, and 3. So we've started that process, and we are currently at 51% capacity. Our goal is to get to 75% and eventually to 100. But that's going to be a slow process because a lot of things have to take place. And we've put in some mitigation measures which have taken out some of the classrooms so we could make some break rooms and make it safer for the employees that are there in the building, especially during the winter season.
Hey, George, yeah, can you just explain, like, I think that's an important point, the pods, that the way that's set up, so that, and what that does is, if we have a COVID case, it only shuts down one classroom. So that's the importance of that square footage piece that you were just talking about in terms of break rooms and lunches and pods in the CDC.
So there was a lot of lessons learned at the beginning of COVID. So one of the old saying is you don't know what you don't know. And at the beginning of this, we didn't know a lot of things, but we sure did learn quickly. So when there was a positive, we did have to close down the center, and we said, what could we do to make it better? And one of the things we learned was that we have what I call platooning, three caregivers in a classroom, so that if one of the caregivers does get infected, we just close down the one classroom and quarantine all the people. We used to have 2 caregivers in a classroom with a runner going from classroom to classroom to classroom. And what they were doing was relieving the caregivers to take breaks, use the bathroom, and go to lunch and anything else they need to take care of. So that has greatly allowed us to keep the centers open and to keep caring for our kids. And so somebody asked what the number was. Currently 517 kids in care, which puts us at 51%. That's very good compared to where we were just back in March.
Good.
When will CDC and SAT be open for regular hours? Again, certain conditions have to be met. And because we are asking a lot of our caregivers, we have shrunk down the hours to keep it a little bit safer for them. And because of the number of caregivers that we currently have on the Family Care Act, Leave Without Pay, and FMLA, it has dropped our numbers of caregivers available to care for kids. We are currently in the process of increasing how many caregivers we have, and we are constantly hiring. Last question. CYSAC program is offering full daycare slots, but they are advising patrons that if they are denied full daycare, your child will be disenrolled. Then you have to go through militarychildcare.com. Why is this being done? Patrons have already did the process and was awarded a slot. Why do they have to re-enroll? Unfortunately, CYS is unable to hold spaces for future placement. So when you're called, you're given 48 hours to accept either the first of the month starting or mid-month. You're given basically 2 weeks to make all the arrangements you need to make. However, if it's a month down the road or you're waiting to come off of working from home or teleworking, unfortunately there is a long wait list, and we have to accommodate all the other service members that are looking for space. So if you're offered a space, my recommendation is that you take it, or you take yourself off the MCC.com wait list, and when you're ready for a spot, you put yourself back on it, and then eventually you'll be called. Sir, that's all I have.
Yeah, hey, just 2 quick things before we go, before you go. So the Specker timeline, can you
Yes,
talk
sir.
about that real quick?
I can.
And the second one that I want you to just hit, or that I'll just say is, if there's an interest for additional gym hours, we can relook at the numbers just to see, like, if it needs to be open a little bit longer
Yes, sir.
in the evening. We can look at adding those sessions. That's, I mean, it's maybe we just go ahead and do it. I don't know. We'll take a look at the numbers and figure it out.
Okay, real quick about Specker Fieldhouse. It is currently under renovation. That is a good news story that started in the springtime, and we were on track to take occupancy actually now 1 November. However, we ran into some fire suppression challenges, and there had to be a total redesign of the pump. That's going to take some time to get done. So it looks like we'll take occupancy 1 April, and we're going to need about 30 days to outfit the building and get the rigs installed, get all the equipment over. So we're looking for a 1 May opening of Specker Fieldhouse. And as we said earlier, Caramara is being turned over to another organization, which is better use of space. And we're taking an old field house, renovating it, and making better use of space. The question that the Colonel asked about, can we expand hours at the fitness center? So what we did the last time is we kept a tally of how many boots through the door. And where we had capacity, we expanded it to the dependents because there was some requests coming in on ice. and I believe the colonel even got an email. We looked at it for 2 weeks. We saw that we had the capacity. We opened those time slots up. It's working fine. So potentially, yes, sir, we could open up a 6:30 to 8 o'clock time frame, and that'll give us better coverage through the evening, and then potentially maybe even something a little bit later. As you know, we did have 24/7 fitness. However, due to the cleaning and sanitizing of the equipment, we closed that down. Our number one priority is safety, and we're trying to keep those that use our facilities safe. Because if we counted on all of you to clean it, some of you we know clean well, and some of you don't. So we've taken it upon ourselves to go ahead and make sure that you have a clean place to work out.
Thanks, George.
Yes, sir.
That was a great update. Okay, good. I think do we have time for a couple questions? And then, yeah, okay, good. We'll take a couple questions and then we'll close it out.
Yes, sir. The first question is for Captain Judy. Any changes to dropping off prescriptions in envelopes at the PX?
No, there've not been any changes to dropping off prescriptions at the PX. Patients can still drop off their prescriptions. It is next day pickup, not same day pickup, but they will be filled and they can then get them. So no changes to that process.
And one additional question, sir. Is Belvoir still doing only active duty IDs, or can dependents get their IDs now?
Yeah, Kevin, do you want to address that, or do you just want me to take it? We'll have Mr. Rennick talk about the ID card facility. I know that's been a hot topic for everybody. We made some adjustments and did kind of a little self-study on that, and I think we're in a better place than we were before. We have some options there, but I'm going to let Mr. Rennick talk about it.
Good evening, all. Kevin Rennick, your Director of Human Resources. Yes, all ID cards are being issued at this current state. For a period of time, as you know, we were constrained to only issuing certain ID cards during a certain period of time due to the pandemic. However, all ID cards as it pertains to retirees and dependents have been extended out through June of 2021. As the Sergeant Major alluded to, though, please do not procrastinate. Appointments are available. Please get in and get those ID cards updated. I can tell you with the extension, it will not be extended beyond the June 2021 deadline. So please, I encourage you, check the website. Appointments are available to come in. And while I have the opportunity, I also want to announce, for those of you who have had challenges as it pertains to trying to get your DMV decals or some updates with appointments, we are going to bring DMV onto the installation next month in December. So please monitor the Fort Belvoir website. We'll publish the dates. We're looking at a 2-day delivery by appointment only. Again, I emphasize this will be an appointment only delivery. So once it's posted, get out there and exercise quickly. Thank you for your time. Have a great evening.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate the update on that. And I think we've got just a couple of minutes left. I want to talk about one thing. So CDC's priority. So that was a SecDef directed that we've gone to extreme lengths and measures in making sure that we get that prioritization implemented in accordance with the SecDef's guidance. So we've done our best to make sure that that everyone is notified appropriately and that everyone understands the process. So Mr. George Dixon is running that for the garrison, and I think he did a good job of just articulating kind of where we're at with CDCs and overall child care. Okay, just a couple of closing remarks. As the holiday and winter season approaches, it's critical that we remain in a protective posture against the transmission of COVID. I really like Colonel Mabey's description of it is that it's a silent disease, and so many people in our population are probably asymptomatic carriers. So I think it's just absolutely critical for the distance masks and hygiene. Unfortunately, it's not going to go away soon, and so we just got to continue.
Can I be a Grinch for a moment on that,
please,
sir? Oh my
please.
gosh. So we've had an opportunity at the hospital. Sorry to interrupt, but we do a lot of contact tracing, right? And the thing that seems to be the theme that generates a lot of quarantine activity throughout the community not just one command on the installation or anything, but throughout the community, is food gatherings. And so I'll be the holiday Grinch and say that we need to really be mindful of that. And so, a lot of people have returned to work and are in their workspaces, and this is the time of year that you start to see the crock pots roll into the work center, and everybody's sharing food, and that is just an activity that we've got to pause for the holiday. And I know that that's really, really tough. Probably not as tough as, graduations and proms and all the things that we went through during the springtime, but this is another one that we really need to be mindful of and not have those food gatherings. And we also need to be mindful of the break rooms, right? You talked about the Child Development Center or Child Youth Services, but when you're gathered and you're eating in a break room somewhere, you need to be mindful of how many seats are in that room and how far apart are those tables so that you can continue to protect the workforce and those families that they go home to. So there's my Grinch announcement.
No, I think that's fine. I think that's good to know, and you can't get that info out too early, right? I mean, I think you make a good point of our measures that we have in place are really pretty good on post across the NCR. And so I think, we got to continue those. So the on-post transmission rate remains low. But where we see it across all of MDW is it's typically off-post, it's off-duty, and that gathering includes food and beverages. And then, what that ends up generating is one positive case, at least one, and then a whole host of quarantines. So do your part and stay safe. We got to be vigilant. The final thing I'd say is, I just want to thank everybody for continuing to participate in the town halls. I look forward to your housing questions and look forward to updating you on housing. These housing changes and housing improvements that we're doing, they're small and they're incremental, but we're going about these deliberately, and we want to be transparent and just factual as we continue to publish information and make sure that everybody is on the same page. We're all in this together. Distance masks and hygiene, and stay up to date by downloading the app. Make sure that you register for Fort Belvoir. You can visit the Fort Belvoir website for additional information or news, and you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. So with that, thank you and have a good evening.